Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn. Effective Resume Thursday. Boy, what day is this? It's Effective Resume Thursday. It's August 3rd, 2023. Hard to believe the year is moving along so fast. We're in the hot month of August. All righty, please note this event is being recorded and it's currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the Zoom recording. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just enter them into the chat window. Also, it's a great way to connect with other people who are on the call today. So feel free to put in your name, comma, phone number, comma, LinkedIn address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, a couple of target companies. Hit the return key, and that way you can connect with everybody else who's on the call today. Just send them a personal note, tell them you were on Effective Resume Thursday, and you want to connect with them. Great way to expand your connections because you never know who's going to help. Also, for those watching on Facebook today, if you have any questions, please just put your questions into the comment field. Like I said, we're monitoring both feeds. We'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. We are going to have time at the end of this presentation to look at one or two resumes today live. If you'd like to submit your resume, you can use the chat window, the little paper icon at the very bottom there. It's right next, well, they've updated. I guess I need to get an updated screenshot. Little paper icon, click there, you can attach it. But remember, if you are going to submit your resume, you may want to take your header information off, your personal phone number, email address, because this will be out on Facebook and YouTube forever and ever. Just send it to Jeff Morris host, not the co-host, to the host. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I sort of asked everybody, please take a look at the Career USA website. I just recently, in the last 2.5–3 weeks ago, we updated it with a new version. It's a little bit different looking fonts. It's everything on the page, everything on the website should be working. The search function works really well. But if you see a problem, you see an error, please let me know so I can get it fixed so we can allow everybody to use the site. In 2000, I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas-Plano Career Focus Group. I'll tell you about our upcoming program tomorrow morning at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. Yesterday, we had two really great interviews at the PIT Crew. Practice interview team is also known as the PIT Crew. We had two great interviews yesterday. And remember this, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, they're not going to get you a job. All they're going to do is get you a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. So for more information, go to dallaspitcrew.com. All right, our agenda this morning, let me switch over to the other presentation here. We're going to start out with, we're going to talk about the ATS system. We're going to talk about a one-page bio. We're going to talk about a master resume. We're going to talk about the key components of a resume. And then we're going to talk about the sample. If you have anyone who wants to submit their resume, we'll take a look at that at the end of this. All right. So I always love this. You want your resume to be the one they remember. You want your resume to be the one that they want to pick up the phone and they want to call you over. All right, so let's talk a little bit about a resume versus a one-page bio. If you send out a resume, you're going, help me, help me, help me, I'm looking for a job. My recommendation is send out a one-page bio. You can use it in lots of different situations. It's great for networking. It's great to tell somebody who you are, what you do, and how you can help on a higher level. A resume gets into all the work details and your credentials, where a bio focuses on your major accomplishments, what you've done at other companies. A resume is primarily a job search tool. A bio, you can use it for if you're a public speaker, if you're giving speeches, if you're giving a talk somewhere. If it's great for networking. A bio has your picture on it. A resume does not have your picture on it. So if you're networking with somebody, it also allows them to know what you look like when you're going to meet them at Starbucks or wherever you're going to meet them at. So here's an example of a one-page bio. This is one. I've got two different examples I'll show you. This one's vertical. The other one's going to be horizontal. You're going to start out with what it is. You're going to put your picture on it. You're going to put a few job titles or what it is you're looking for, what you've done, a brief background. You're going to put on your professional biography. You're going to list some of the jobs you've had. You'll list your education, your contact information, and then some professional achievements and successes. Okay, so this is a high-level doc. This is great because you're not getting into all the weeds. I wouldn't ever submit a resume until you've seen a job description, and we'll talk about a little bit more about that in a little bit. Here's another job. Here's another bio, and I'll put both these bios in the chat window so you can download them. But this bio, laid out differently, laid out the other way, still got the same thing. Professional information, your contact information, your competencies, your professional achievements, your areas of expertise. The big difference on this one is that it lists target functions, which you probably want to list to help people know what you're trying to look for, but it lists target companies. Now, this is great if you're sending this to friends and family and maybe some professional contacts that you've just known over the years. But if you're trying to network with somebody currently, and if I were to send this to somebody who works at Coca-Cola, and they don't even see Coca-Cola listed on my target companies, but they see PepsiCo is listed #1, they're going to go, wait, why am I helping you? But you don't even have us listed as your target company. So make sure if you send this specifically to somebody at a company that you list their company first. Okay, if you're going to list other kinds of things. Personally, I wouldn't send this out if I was going to send this to somebody working at a company. I would use it only to friends and family and my professional contacts who I've known over the years in the past. Now, there's a great book on one-page bios. I love this book. It's called Be Sharp. This is by Minna Brown and Paula Asanoff. This is Minna's one-page bio off to the right. Now you'll notice that it's very colorful. She's really changed it up. She's an executive coach and author. She's a public speaker. She trains coaches. So this is more of an ad slick for her, but it's just laid out a little bit differently. There's lots of different ways. The nice thing I like about this book, and if you get it, be sure to get the second edition. The first edition doesn't have a lot of the bios in it. The second edition has over 30 different bios on how you can do it. The first half of the book talks about how to introduce yourself, your 30-second introduction. The second half of the book is all about the bio. I really, really recommend it. All right, a master resume. Let's talk about a master resume for a second. A master resume, I think, is something everybody should have. I think you should take the time, take 4 or 5 hours one day, and put together a document. It could be 10 or 15 pages long with everything you've ever done since college. Include any college jobs if they're relevant to what you do. By doing this, you're going to list all the details, names, addresses, contact information. You're going to have 8 or 10 bullet points underneath each one. You're going to list some skills, any certificates that you got. You do all this in one big document. Then when you see a job description, you save that master resume as whatever your naming convention is, and then go through and delete everything that's not in the job description. You want the resume and the job description to match. Everybody here has done a lot of really great things, but if they don't ask for it, don't tell them about it, because you don't know who's going to be reading your resume. The first person who reads it could be somebody just out of college, has no clue about any of these technical skills. They just see, I'm looking for somebody who can do X, Y, and Z. So they're looking for a resume that says X, Y, Z. Make it easy for them. Make it easy. Now, if you're applying for a government job or if you're applying for a university, college education job, they usually want to see everything. So by showing everything you've ever done, you're ready to go. You don't have to think about what it is you've done. All right, so let's talk about the characteristics of a good resume. A lot of what I want to talk about today is our goal here is to make it easy for the applicant tracking system or a job screener to determine that you're a good match for the job. So we're going to talk about formatting. We're going to talk about the overall length. And then the question that everybody always has is, well, how many years should I put on a resume? I've been working for 30 years. You know, what should I show? So I've got three options here. I'd like everybody, if you would, in the chat window or in the comment field on Facebook, go ahead and list which one you think is, what would you do on your resume? Would you A, show us all of your experience? B, show us only the most recent 10 to 15 years? Or C, show the most recent 10 to 15 years plus a section called prior relevant experience? So if you would, give us an A, B, or C in the chat window or comment field. While you're doing that, I'm going to load up those two text messages, those two documents I talked about. Oop, I think I just sent this only one person. Give me a second here, try this again. All right, so I put the two bios in the chat window, which you can go through and download. All right, so let's see. People put down B and C. Everybody pick B or C. You know, quite frankly, I think it can be any one of the above. Like I said, if you're applying for a government or a university or a college or education job, they want to usually see A. B is okay, but I prefer C. And the reason I prefer C is that if you have a section called prior relevant experience, what that does is that gives you the permission to talk about, things you've done at other jobs that are not listed on your resume. One of the things you cannot do in an interview is that if you worked at company C, but it's not on your resume, and you start talking about something you did there, and they go, well, where'd you do that at? Oh, at this company, but it's not listed on your resume. You have confused the interviewer. The interviewer is going, what is that? What else is this person hiding? Okay, so I really like that last section, prior relevant experience. All right, so let's talk about fonts for your resume. How about formatting for your resume? These are the four fonts that I really like: Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, and Helvetica. The reason I like these fonts is because they're easy to read on the eye. They're very, very easy. If you look at these next couple fonts, Times New Roman, Garamond, Cambria, I'm not a fan of those because I don't like the little serifs. I don't like all the little things that look on the N on new for Times New, the New Roman. I don't like those little, some of it's thicker, some of it's thinner. I like it all plain and simple. So Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, Helvetica are the four fonts that I prefer. And I think most recruiters will prefer that because it's easier on the eye to read. If you pick up a book, it's going to be one of those four fonts. It's going to be something easy to read. They're not going to be putting documents with harder to read fonts. You don't want any of the fancy fonts, no wingdings. You don't need to put a little telephone next to your name. You don't need to put a little house by your address. You want to keep it really simple. Margins, you want your margins 1 inch top, bottom, right and left. The reason being is that white space is good. If you load your resume down with text, people are not going to read it. The more white space you have, the easier it is for somebody to read, the easier it is for somebody to scan through it quickly and go, oh yeah, this person's got what I want, okay? For bullets, I would only use the bullets you see here. No little arrows, no little triangles, nothing else. Keep it simple. Plain dots, all ATS systems can read. You can do some bolding, you can do a little bit of underlining, and you can do a little bit of italicize. Bolding is this thing I would maybe use the most of the three, but just sort of be careful. You don't want to overdo it because you want to make it easy for somebody to glance down and see it. Do not use any text boxes, any headers, footers, or templates that you would find on the internet. Don't use any shadows or any graphics. The reason being is that there are well over 300 different ATS systems out there. Every ATS system works a little bit differently. You don't know which system you're using, and you don't know what will happen. No system that I know of will read a header or a footer. So if you put your text information in a header or footer, your resume may pop up, hey, this is a great candidate. Look at what their body, their experience is perfect, but we don't know how to get hold of them because their header wiped away. And don't use any tables either. If you want to put a bunch of text in the middle, little single words, don't use text. And we'll show you that here in just a moment. If you've got a gap in your profile and you haven't done anything in your work experience for a while, how can you fill it? You can fill it with community leadership. What have you done to volunteer? You can do it with consulting. You've been a consultant for, you've done if somebody has a lot of short-term gigs, a lot of 2, 3, 4 months term gigs, because that's what they're doing, sort of consulting, lump that all together as consulting, and then you can list it as one job. Or continuing education. I interviewed somebody several weeks ago, and I saw, I see you didn't do anything in 2020 and 2021. What's going on? Oh, I went back and I got these four certifications in my field so I could stay up to date with what I was doing. Right there, that's all I need to know. So, you want to add, and then when you list something, put a few bullet points to describe the work that you're doing. Consulting work that you've done, even if it's pro bono, any volunteering, leadership stuff you've done. Hopefully, if you're volunteering and using your expertise in what it is that you're helping share what you're good at. If you've gotten any certifications, if you went back for an MBA or any second college degree or whatever, it's a great place to list all that information. So here's an example. Somebody listed community leadership and consulting, 2019 to present. This is actually from a few years ago. Served as a panelist and coach for the Dallas Practice Interview Team to help job seekers with their interview skills. Provided consulting service to a local nonprofit on how to prepare and conduct job interviews and how to evaluate candidates. This person was a recruiter, and they were helping people doing so. Now, she doesn't say that local nonprofit happened to be a church. She didn't want to list the church name because she could do it for any nonprofit or any organization just to show what she was doing. So, you just want to be a little careful on how you list things. All right, so here are the key components of a resume that we're going to talk about. A resume needs to have a header, not in the heading section. You don't want a Microsoft Word header, but at the top of your resume. Then it's going to have a summary. You're then going to list some key accomplishments. That's an optional section, usually for salespeople, but I'll tell you why I'm not really a fan of that in just a couple minutes. You're then going to show your professional experience in chronological order. Job interviewers do not want to see a functional resume. It doesn't work for them. They are used to seeing a chronological resume, and that's what we're going to talk about. Then you're going to list a section, previous relevant experience. That's optional, but I recommend it. I think it's worth it because if you ever want to tell a story about something you did, way back, you can tell that story. You're going to list your education. Education goes towards the bottom of a resume, unless you just got something, you just graduated with a new degree or something, in the last year. Now you're going back in the job market because with that new degree, then you can put it at the top. And then software skills. I saw a resume yesterday. The person didn't have any software skills. And I'm going, can you use Microsoft? Can you use Access? Can you, what can you, oh yeah, I do this. I said, you need to list that because those are keywords that are going to make a difference. So let's take a look at each section. Here's the header. Use the name you want to be called. Okay, if you want to be called Joe Smith, call yourself Joe Smith. If you want to be Joseph Smith, put down Joseph Smith. If you have a hard to pronounce last or first name, I would put in your name and then in parentheses, put out the phonetic spelling of your name. That way people can figure out how to pronounce your name and won't butcher it. I know some recruiters who go, well, if I can't pronounce the name, I'm just going to the next candidate. Okay, and you don't want that to happen to you. So put the name that you're interested in. Phone number, city, state, and zip. You do not need to list your street address, where you're local, where you're currently living. That's not important, but it is important to let people know that, you know, you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area if you're applying for Dallas, or if you're in the Atlanta area, you're looking for a job in Atlanta, you know, Atlanta or metro area. You want your email address and you want your LinkedIn address. Now, we had a discussion about this yesterday in the pit crew. Some people said, oh, well, you make sure that those are hyperlinked so somebody can click on it and goes right to your hyperlink. I say don't hyperlink it. And the reason being is that when you type, you know, on Microsoft Word or whatever, you type email address in or your LinkedIn address, it underlines it and puts it in blue. The problem I have with that is if you have a Gmail account, that underline and that G you're going to intersect. Some ATS systems can't recognize hyperlinks. So leave it plain. That way everybody can grab it. If they can always highlight it and then paste it in their Word, in their email program, or paste it into LinkedIn to try to find you. Okay, so I say do not make a hyperlink. If you've typed it in and it's like, you know, it turns blue on you, you can hover over it, do a right click, and it'll say remove hyperlink. But be sure to include your LinkedIn address, your LinkedIn profile, because I'm going to look you up on LinkedIn. Make it easy for me to find you. Okay, your summary and your profile, your areas of expertise. Your summary is not an objective. Remember, when you're looking for a job, it's what can you do for them? What kind of problem can I solve at your company? I'm a problem solver. I want to fix your problem. Listen, they're hiring people. They're hiring someone because they have a problem. They're not hiring somebody because they've got all this extra money and they're just going, oh, we're going to be nice. Let's hire 5 more people to sit around the office and, you know, and chit chat all day, or, you know, play cards. So they've got a problem. You're a problem solver. What is it you do? That's what you want to tell them here. I think you should put the title of the job that you're applying for right up there at the top, and then a couple, 3 sentences maximum so that they can scan it. That talks about what they're looking for from the job description, what it is that you can do from the job description. All right. Then you're going to include some areas of expertise. 9 to me is the perfect number. 6 is not enough. 12, 15 are too many. This is not a table. This is a tab, agile methodologies, tab, scrums, tab, requirements, enter, tab, relationship. You know, you just use tabs to get it over here. If you make this a table, some ATS systems won't be able to read it. Okay, but tabs, they'll get it all. All right, now, if I interview you, and a lot of interviewers will go and say, so tell me, what are your top 3 areas of expertise? Your top 3 areas of expertise better be the top 3 here on the very top, or the 3 over on the very left-hand side. Don't go and tell me that your top thing, oh, customer-facing roles, I'm great with user interface and improving processes. If those are your top 3, make them so that they're in these top 3 areas that stand across the top. You get these 9 things from the job description. This is what they're looking for, okay? Only tell them what they're looking for. If they're not looking for something you've done, don't tell them about it. You bury that in your resume down, you bury that later on. All right. This key accomplishment area, as I said, is primarily for salespeople because they want to show what they've done, any sales or business development people. The problem I have with this section, I mean, you want to do it if you've been in this, if you've done this, but the problem I have is that I want to know where you did this at. So if you're going to achieve 120% of a $1.5 million sales target in 2019, you need to list this underneath the company that you did this at. So you have to list the same bullet point twice. So this is sort of good. This is a nice little easy thing, summary for somebody to go find something, but it's really good to then carry it down and make sure it's down in your work experience so I can see where it was done at. All right, so let's talk about your professional experience. Okay, number one, chronological. People, I've already said they don't want a functional resume. They want to see your resume in chronological order. That's what everybody's used to seeing. You've got to make sure you use parallel verbs. Now, what do I mean by parallel verbs? If you have a current job, those verbs should all be current. If you have a past job, they all need to be past tense. Okay, so here, all the red, those are all current. And his current job here, this current job, 2014 to present, this shows what somebody's done, but they do have one past tense. And it's okay because this was a project they worked on 3 years ago or 5 years ago. So I'm okay with past and current tense, present tense in a current job, but in a past tense, all those that are in blue, that's what they used to do. That's what they've done in the past. I also recommend that you include a one-line description of the company. Okay, I don't care if it's, IBM, if it's, Walmart, whatever, put down one sentence about what the company is. I've been doing this now for over 15 years, helping job seekers. And there's not a day goes by when a job seeker says, I'm looking for a job at XYZ company, and I've never heard of XYZ company. Okay, or I don't know where that company was that they used to work at. Maybe they changed names, maybe it was just a small company that got bigger, I never know. So list a one-line sentence. It helps the recruiter have an idea of who it is. I also add one more thing. In my resume, I show who I report it to so that they have a sense of, I reported to the owner, I reported to the director of finance, I reported to the chief operation officer, whatever it is. It then sort of places where you fit in the organization. Be sure to limit the number of bullets for each job. I think 5 is all you need for a current job, maybe 4 for the next oldest one, 3, then 2, then 1 or something. But don't go list, you don't need 8 or 10 or 15 bullet points. Those bullet points have got to be related to what the job, to what the answer is. And then the last point I want to mention is focus on results. I read so many resumes from people, and the resumes read like a job description. They don't tell me any results. They say, this is what I was supposed to do. This is what I did, but it doesn't tell me what it result is. We had a speaker a few weeks ago talk about resumes, and he said, what you should do is the first part of the sentence should always be what you did, and then the words resulting in, and then the result. Every sentence needs to be what you did, resulting in, and the answer. Because that tells me I need to hire somebody who can generate more sales. I need to hire somebody who can drive quality up. I need somebody to make sure we can get packages out the door, whatever it is. Show me you can do that on your resume. Show me the results. And I go, I need somebody who can do this. I want to talk to this person. All right, so professional experience, when you get into the details, 5 to 6 bullet points for the most at a job. The bullet points have to focus on results. What you did, resulting in, and the answer. And bullets should not sound like a job description. You've got to give me, you got to show me some results. Reading a job description doesn't help me at all. It tells me what you've done. So here's a great little game and something you can do with your job description, with your resume. Read the bullet point, and after the bullet point, go and say, so what? Now, if you're able to answer so what, you saved $1 million, you fix this, you increase this, you decrease that, great, move on to the next bullet point. Every bullet point, you need to be able to say, so what? Resulting in, what's the answer? So here's an example. So the original text, this person we had, guide at the next phase of brand evolution for a multimedia artist and managed film production and publishing. That sounds pretty good, but So what? Sounds like a job description. So we asked him, well, so what? What increased my business opportunities, which led to 10 new commissions for my client? Ah, so now we know what you did, resulting in 10 new commissions. So we rewrote the job bullet point to say increased business opportunities, resulting in 10 new commissions for my client based on developing a full social media and PR strategy. This tells me what it is you've done. This gets me into things, okay? So this is what excites me when I see what it is you've done. So what do you do if you've had multiple roles at one company? A lot of people have been promoted over the years. I saw somebody yesterday, they had been promoted 3 times at one job. So what you want to do here is you want to list the company name once with the full range of dates, okay? Now, if you pulled all these dates over to the very right-hand side, the ones you see in parentheses, it could make you look like a job hopper the first time I see it. But because it's spaced like this, this tells me, oh, okay, this is a little bit, tells me you've been there for a while. All right. The dates for each of the roles can be put in parentheses right next to the job title. So this is how you've got to do this, because otherwise, if you put all the dates over on the very right-hand side where that red arrow is, it makes you look like a job hopper. People, they don't click unless they really read a resume. And when your resume is first being read, it's just being scanned. 7 to 10 seconds, they're going, no, yes, maybe. And that's what you're doing with these things really quickly. All right, so what do you do if companies change names? Lots of companies change names. They change names all the time. So here are 2 examples. You can give the current name of the company followed by the old name, XYZ Corporation, formerly ABC Company. Or you can give the old name of the company first, possibly with the date of M&A. So ABC Company acquired by XYZ Company in 2008. We had a candidate several years ago. He worked at Campbell Soup. Well, Campbell Soup has since he worked at the Campbell Soup plant just around in the DFW area, and it's changed names 2 or 3 times, I know. And he told me this other name, and it's like, well, I've never heard of that. What was it before that? Oh, that used to be the Campbell Soup plant. Oh, I know what Campbell Soup plant is, what Campbell Soup is. Everybody knows what Campbell Soup is. We all have a can of it probably at home. I said, put that name down because that's the most famous name. And then in parentheses, put down what it was acquired by. So whatever the most famous name is that's there, list that because that's what people are going to know. All right, education and software skills. You want to list your degrees. You want to list your software skills underneath that, and you're going to modify that based on job requirements. You can list, be sure to add any skill, any software skill that they mention, get it in there. Now, what if you don't have Adobe Acrobat, or what if you don't have Visual Studio experience, but you use Canva? Canva does a lot of the same thing. You could list Canva and then parentheses put similar to Visual Studios. That way it's a keyword match, okay? So just something, something to do. If you do not have a degree, write something like this: the school, city, state, the area of concentration, and put down that you completed 72 hours or expected graduation in fall of 2024, okay? That tells me you haven't completed it. I don't know if anybody remembers the football coach that Notre Dame hired several years ago. And 2 weeks after they hired him, they fired him because he had fudged his education. You're going to be found out. They are going to look. People will look. If they do a background check, they're going to find this information out. So don't, tell the truth on there so people know what it is you've done. All right, so we want to talk now about aligning a resume to a job description. This is something that's just so simple to do. What you want to do is see on the left-hand side is a job description. Grab a yellow highlighter, and you're going to sit there and you're going to highlight what you think are the most important things that you want to make sure that you think they're looking for, okay? And then take your resume. Now, we've shortened this resume down to 1 page just so we can get it onto a screen. take your 1-page, your 2-page resume, whatever, highlight that and go, do I have these things on one side, on the other? So what I'm talking about here is business analyst. They're looking for a business analyst. I have it as my job title underneath my name, and I have it in my summary statement. They're looking for somebody who can handle business requirements, documentation of business requirements. I've got that in my summary statement. Improve processes, cross-functionality, Agile, Scrum, Visual Studio. I'm making sure that all those keywords are in my resume that are in the job description. Multiple sources, user manuals, putting all that stuff in there. Business process flow charts, user interface design. I'm making sure, I want to make it simple so that you can see that this is what you're looking for. This is what I've done. Okay. So let's remember a few things here about a resume. Number one, keywords are just very, very important. It's all about keywords. And this is the same thing on LinkedIn. When somebody searches for somebody, when a recruiter searches for somebody, they put in a couple keywords, they need to find those words on your resume. So that's why you want to have a robust LinkedIn profile. And, we talk about LinkedIn every Tuesday about that. Resumes are scanned. They are not read. The only person who may read it is the hiring manager, and they may spend a minute or 2 minutes actually reading your resume. The initial job, the initial person who's scanning, the initial recruiter, maybe spend 7 to 10 seconds just to figure out what it is to see if it's a match. They're trying to find 10 to 15 candidates. They'll put it in the yes pile. Then they may go and read the yes pile and go in a little bit more detail and go, I'm gonna pass these, 5 along to the hiring manager. I think these 5 are okay. So resumes are scanned, not read. So you've got to make it easy for them to make the connection. A resume will not get you a job. It will only get you a phone call. Okay, just like your LinkedIn profile, it will only get you a phone call. So you never know why they ask. You never know why they called you. You want to ask them, hey, thanks for calling. What was it on my resume or what was it on my LinkedIn profile that made you reach out? Ask them, because if you ask them that, you then know what to talk about, what's important to them. And when you know what's important to them, keep the conversation to those details, because that's what's going to help you. Remember, your resume, your LinkedIn profile only gets you a phone call. You've got to practice your interviewing skills. You've got to come to the practice interview team. You've got to be interviewed. We interviewed somebody yesterday. I interviewed somebody yesterday. It was her second interview. And somebody in the audience who was just watching went, man, you're 1,000% better than what you were a month and a half ago. Because the guy came a month and a half ago, he practiced, he got a lot of feedback, he came back, he was much more relaxed, he had better star stories, he was able to answer the questions that we asked him, that he had no idea what we were going to ask. So practice, practice, practice. All right, so let's take a look at a resume. I think somebody may have sent me a resume. Let's see here. Nope. I get one. Yep, here we go. Give me a second here. I will get this. All right, let me share this screen here. So let's stop this share. And we'll stop share. We'll give you a new share. We will take a look. Thank you to whoever sent this to me. All right, I think everybody can see this now. So this is Joe Job Hunter. He lives in Frisco, Texas. He's got his phone number, he's got his email address. And so I assume, because my little button here says, here's my LinkedIn address. Here's my problem. If I were to click on this, number one, Joe Job Hunter. So he's got his own website, or this could be his email account. Remove the hyperlinks. Okay, now this one doesn't even show up as a hyperlink. This one just, I wouldn't know it unless my cursor popped over it. Personally, I remove hyperlinks because, and I wouldn't even, I'm looking here to see, this just says it goes to linkedin.com. So I don't click on something I'm not sure where it's taking me. Now, if you hover over something and you look down the lower right-hand corner, you can see that the little white square comes up and says linkedin.com. So this will go and tell you what it is you're doing. In fact, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. Yeah, it doesn't change. That changes a little bit here. Let me go in and zoom a little bit more for people. So, when I hover over this down the lower left-hand corner, you'll see it give you the email address. So just be very careful. Okay, thank you, Joe Job Hunter, for changing it for the sample. Okay, so Joe is a relationship builder, communicator, leader. I've never seen a job description looking for a relationship builder. I've never seen a job description looking for a communicator. This is a field. This is where you should put the job title you're applying to. Okay. I think it just makes things a little bit easier. Now, the other psychological thing, the reason that when I show you our sample resume, and I'll put our sample resume in the field here in just a second. When I do that, we separate out, city and phone number on one side, and email address and LinkedIn on the other side, leaving this middle area blank so they see Job Job Hunter, relationship builder, communicator, so that the two things are sort of together. That's why I like to do it that way on each side. But listen, ask 10 people their opinion for on your resume. You're going to get 15 answers. You go give it back to somebody who you just fixed it for. They're going to say, oh, no, you need to change this, this, and this. So you've just got to feel comfortable with what you're doing. So a lifelong leader, these are, first of all, 3 sentences max, okay? People do not read a group of all this text. It's going to be very hard for them to read. So I say 3, and these have got to come from the job description, what it is they're looking for, what you want to do. I like you've got 1-inch margins, top, bottom, side. It's great because white space is good. Core competencies and achievements. So you don't get down here to your professional experience just towards the bottom, but project management, team building. I would include these if it's in the job description. If these were things that are in a job description that they're looking for, include them. Great. I guess if you're applying for a cross-country job at a college or university or high school, maybe this is really, really important. But I wouldn't, to me, I guess it depends on who the audience is here for some of these things. So manage 5,000 learners, education led, facilitated and managed. 20%, good. So, okay, so you're a teacher, coach. I would get these dates out a little bit farther if possible. Take them out here just a little bit farther. I think it'll make it work a little bit better. And you've made these font really, really small. I can't tell what the font size is because this is not Word. And even up here too, you've made the font really, really small. I wouldn't go below 10-point fonts. 10, 11, and 12-point fonts are what I would recommend for people to use. Here it's fine. Here, once again, I would make these fonts a little bit bigger to make it easy to read. Frisco ID, Lone Star High School, Frisco High School. Once again, I would go and say resulting in what? So you manage and facilitated 100 different classes, resulting in I'd never sleep at night. What did it result in? No laughing. I see you laughing, Ryan. But give me, once again, it's what did you do, resulting in, and a result, because that's what's going to sell. So, training fundamental skills for improved mental and physical performance. How can you can you give me some kind of, you did this, but what did it result in? Because I need somebody who can do these things, but you need to tell me what we're resulting. You need more knowledge, and then they started with me. Okay. Just something. If you just give it a little bit more, it's the so what game, coaching, assistant basketball coach. Okay, so how do you all do? Did you come in second in the district? Did you come in third in the district? Took 5 players who never played football before and they became decent players, or you got X number of players who got on the all district team or whatever. If you can give us something, that would be beneficial. Schooling. Well, first of all, thank you very much for being a teacher, because that's got to be a very hard job. I know that's very different. My mom was a teacher, did it for 30 years, and that is not easy. Master's education degree, great. You don't need to put dates out here, which is perfect. You got your teacher certificate. References. You do not need to leave references on a resume, okay? If they want them, they'll contact you for them, and that'll be a separate sheet. Now you've got all this blank space on page 2. Make all this a little bit bigger font, okay? Make it 12, 10 to, if you're going to fill up 2 pages, do that. You've got more room here to manage those things. So this is, for everybody out there, this is sort of a functional resume, because we're talking about what he's done, what he can do, and things he's done. And then here's his professional experience down here at the very bottom. So, this is more functional. A chronological resume wouldn't have, you wouldn't list this top stuff on here. But once again, education is a different ballgame. They want to see things differently. If this is what education people want to see, I mean, go to the principal. Is this what you like to see on a resume? It's, you've got to satisfy what they're looking for. It would work great. Looking to transition. You're looking to transition into what? What is it you want to do? You can unmute your mic if you want, Ryan.
I'm actually doing a lot of research trying to figure out exactly what I want to transition into. The teacher skill set is wide open. So I've looked into HR, I've looked into project management, but I don't have a set parameter of exactly what I'm want to do right this second. I guess whatever fits. In our the Frisco Connect meeting the other day, they said they didn't want a jack of all trades anymore. I feel like I'm a jack of all trades as a teacher and a coach. So I don't know where I need to go. So I know I'm strong at relationship building, communicating, leading. But I like what you said during the presentation about whatever job you're applying for, change the heading right there. Instead of being the relationship builder communicator, put the exact job that you're looking for. So that's why that's not there.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to know, not having a resume right there. So in your case, and for some reason, there are lots of teachers who want to stop teaching or, they want to get out of the education field. One of the things that I recommend is you got to figure out what it is you want to do and, what can you do? There is a group at St. Andrew UMC, or I guess they're not UMC anymore, but St. Andrew's Church up in Plano. Bill Brewer on Monday has got a session, starts at 2:00. And he offers he has a skills assessment test that you can take, and it tells you what you're good at, maybe what you want to consider, what kind of roles you would be good at by those answers. And then it's important then to sit down and write a resume that sort of focuses in on that kind of thing. So I would check out Bill Brewer, let him know that I gave you his contact, that I told you about him. St. Andrew. If you look on the Career DFW calendar, you'll see his events on Monday at 2:00, and I think his email address is right there. And he also has a bunch of mentors who maybe he's got somebody who's been in the teaching field, who's moved out of it, how they can help you from a coaching standpoint to help coach you into what you do. But I think they've got a skills assessment test, which is really good to sort of, what do you come up to be? I took a skills assessment test many years ago when I moved to Dallas, and they said I should be an IRS agent. I decided, no, I'm not going to be an IRS agent, but I see I probably have some skills that would be good being detail oriented, numbers oriented, and stuff like that. So thank you for sharing. Thank you very much for sharing your resume. Let me put in the chat window a few more. Let's see here. Let me put a couple of things in here. Let's see here. Save. So in the if I'm going to put these things, if you're not able to download some of this stuff, you can always send me an email and I will be glad to get it to you. But let me put in the chat window a sample resume. Oops, I did the wrong thing here. Anyway, here we go. Let's see here. Here is the resume that we used. There's a sample resume that we used. There's also action verbs. There's T cover letters. So if you want any other stuff, just send me an email, resume@careerdfw.org, and I will get that stuff out to you. But that's a sample resume that we used from a formatting standpoint that we really, really like. All right. A couple more things. Career DFW, Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. We are meeting in person. Please come join us if you'd like. If you live in the DFW area, we'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. We're just going to have open forum. You ask questions, we'll give you suggestions. Everybody who's there can go and offer their opinions. I mean, this isn't just me talking to people. This is everybody just sort of in a round table talking about what issues you're having. We are meeting in person, so come join us tomorrow morning at 9:30. If you live outside the DFW area, please join us on Zoom or Facebook Live. Next Tuesday, for LinkedIn Tuesdays, Kurt Vondermeyer will be with us to talk about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye. Kurt does a great presentation. He shows us what the recruiting package that LinkedIn, that he pays big bucks to LinkedIn on how he tries to find you. Next Wednesday, the practice interview team will be meeting online only. If you'd like to schedule your own practice interview, just go to dallaspicrew.com and you'll get more information there on how to do that. We will be on Zoom only. No recording will be available after the event. So if you do want to watch a practice interview, you do need to watch it in online next Wednesday on Zoom only. And then next Thursday, being the second Thursday of the month, we're going to talk all about networking. We've got a different session, different speaker who talks about networking. Networking is basically all the same. It's reaching out to other people, but how do they do it? How do you do it? What do you want to think about? So come and you'll get a couple tidbits to take away for the week. This session has been recorded. You will be able to find it on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, we've got over 530 videos there currently. Click on playlist. Every video that I upload goes into one of 7 different playlists, and pick the one you want: resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, and then down where you see that red arrow, don't click on the video, but click down where that red arrow is, and it'll say view full playlist, and up will come a list of all the different dates and topics so you can find the speaker that you're interested in. This video will take a couple hours, so it won't be up till probably 4 or 5 o'clock later this afternoon. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. Just scan the QR code. It will take a picture. It will generate an email. Just hit send. You don't have to put anything in the email, or just send an email, a blank email, to Career USA +subscribe@groups.io. And when you do that, it will you'll be on our mailing list, and what you will get on a daily basis from me only, nobody else can get to it because the list is, I control the list. You will get our topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can open the email, click on the Zoom link, and join our session. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or no part-time employees. Everything I've done has strictly been as a volunteer for the last 15 years. I'm just here to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group.